Schumacher Alt.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Today, for the first time in ages, and I do mean ages, it must be over a year I think, I've got an Altbier. And Altbier is a great style of beer. It's peculiar to a certain region in Germany, that region being the North Rhine-Westphalia region, or northwest Germany to me and you. Now, there's a particular place that this beer hails from, and that is Dusseldorf. If you've ever watched Auf Wiedersehen Pet, the original Auf Wiedersehen Pet from the 1980s, you know a little bit about Dusseldorf. But it's a beer that originated from there, and is only really popular in that region, the North Rhine region. You don't really find it, apparently, you don't really find it outside of that region. There is a brewery in Holland, which is about, I think it's 30 miles from Dusseldorf, right on the border, that they brew Altbier as well. And they've been doing that since the 1700s. But it's unique in that, along with Kölsch, which is very similar in that it comes from a specific region, i.e. Cologne for that one, they use top fermenting yeast. Now, I would say the majority of German beers use bottom fermented yeast, that is lager yeast to me and you. Now, there was an exception allowed during the 1500s, which sort of dictated that everybody should be using bottom fermented yeast. You know, the Reinheitsgebot, they were saying that you could only use certain ingredients and that you could only brew during the winter months. You couldn't brew during the summer months. However, with the climate up in the northwest of Germany being a little bit cooler than it is in Bavaria during the summer, and believe me, it gets fucking hot in Bavaria during the summer, they were allowed to brew during winter, so they were brewing all year round basically. But if you've never tried an Altbier, it's a really nice style of beer. If you're into your English beers, or your English ales I should say, then you're going to like Altbier, in my opinion. It does remind me a lot of the bitters and some of the darker, spicier ales that you get from the UK. Now, there are exceptions to this rule in Germany, that you do get some that are a little bit more rounded, a little bit less spicy. You get some that are lighter in colour as well. But there are some great examples of Altbier, but there's also a fair amount of shit as well. Now, if you look on the channel, if you do a search for Altbier, you'll see the ones that I've reviewed. The one that springs to mind that isn't too good is Diebel's. I didn't really like that. Slurcher was quite nice, but the best one I've tried so far, I haven't tried Schumacher, and I've always wanted to try the Schumacher Alt. The best one I've tried so far was the Uriga Altbier, and they did one called a Stick, or Sticker, I think they called it. And all the Altbier brewers do this. It's a special type of Altbier that is brewed near Christmas. It's a seasonal beer, but it's very, very strong. And it does remind me a lot of a barley wine, because it's top fermented. They use quite a lot of alcohol in there. You do get the ethanol. And if you try the Uriga Stick, or Sticker, as it's pronounced, that literally translates to the local dialect meaning secret. Apparently it's a secret brew. So there you go. Who knew that? But this lot in particular are probably, they're renowned as being the best Altbier brewer in Germany. And I wouldn't say they started it, but they were the first ones to call it Altbier. Now, the style of brewing that they used was the old style, hence the term Alt. Alt in German means old. So this literally translates to old beer. And whereas more or less every other brewer in Germany was using bottom fermenting techniques and lagering and that type of thing. The Schumacher Brewery was adhering to the old style, using top fermenting yeast, making it slightly darker, and they've done that ever since. Now, again, one thing I want to mention about the Schumacher Brewery, they've been going since 1837. They had various changes in their history, but I do want to make this point. If I can find out about every German brewer, excuse me, and I do want to highlight this, it's during World War II, a lot of these breweries were completely destroyed, and they have come back from the ashes. And that is no mean feat when you consider that after the war, Germany was basically in ruins. And to come back in a relatively short space of time, 1948 they started rebuilding the brewery and producing beer again. So I think in 1942, in September 1942, this brewery was bombed. I don't know whether it was destroyed or not, but I think it was partially destroyed. But then in June 1943 there was another air raid and it was completely flattened, and it's come back from the ashes and it's brewing beer today. Now, the reason I highlight that, and I've said it on a couple of other breweries reviews as well, German breweries I should say, is because that is no mean feat to completely go from everything being destroyed, all your equipment, the building, the whole lot. That would basically put paid to a lot of brewers. And I'm sure it has done in Germany. There were probably a lot more breweries. I'd love to find that out, actually. I should get my geek head on and see if I can find that out, how many breweries were destroyed in Germany during World War II and just didn't recover. Maybe there was some in England as well, because obviously England was bombed as well, and there may have been breweries that were damaged. But a lot of the breweries were in industrial areas, and especially the North Rhine-Westphalia, because that was the industrial heartland of Germany, the Ruhr around that region. That's where this style of beer is popular, and of course that was bombed to shit by both the RAF and the United States Army Air Force during World War II. Dark times, but onwards, and they are brewing this stuff today. As I say, this has got a really good reputation. I've heard really good things about the Schumacher Brewery, so let's stop gassing. Let's get this investigated. Okay, this is a 330ml bottle. It is 4.6%. It says on the sides the ingredients are Wasser, water, Gersten malt, malted barley, Dolden Hopfen. I think that means whole hops, cone hops, or whole hops basically, and Hopfen extract I should say, and Schumacher Hefe, which means Schumacher yeast. Interesting. Blah 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 blah. Conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. That doesn't mean a thing to me. Pure marketing, in my opinion. They've just got the address of the brewery. Friedrich Schumacher, GmbH and Co. KG, Oststrasse 123, Dusseldorf. Well, there you go. I do have a little bit on the brew sheet, not much on the malt, but the hops, they use Hallertau hops, and they use Tettnang hops as well. And it's interesting that they use the Tettnang hops because they are quite floral, they are spicy, or can be spicy, fruity, as in citrusy, but also grassy as well. And the other flavour that you can get from the Tettnang hops is tea, would you believe? And I love my tea.
The entire British Empire was built on cups of tea. And if you think I'm going to war without one, mate, you're mistaken.
And a lot of them flavours that you get in that hop variety are similar to some of the hop characteristics that you get in English beer as well. And as I said before, Altbier does remind me a lot of English bitters and English ales, which is probably why I like it. And it's a shame that it's not more popular in Germany, because I think this definitely would be popular in the United Kingdom, because it's top fermented, but it's lagered as you would a lager, and it gives it a cleaner flavour, and it gets rid of a lot of the nasties that I wouldn't say nasties, but how can I put this? Where ale isn't stored in that way, it isn't lagered for weeks and months. You do tend to find that if you do that, you get a cleaner beer. And the Kölsch that I mentioned earlier, that's top fermented as well, and that is lagered. and that is really nice. It's almost like the best golden ale you'll ever taste, and for all intents and purposes, it does taste like a lager. There is a little bit of a characteristic going on there, but it to the untrained palate, you would call that a lager. So there you go. So let's stop gassing and let's get this open. Right, flip top cap on here. I'm drinking it out of this glass. Daughter bought me this. It's Dad, a man who always has an ear to listen and a shoulder to lean on and a wallet to dip into every time you're fucking broke. And don't I know it. But this is the style of glass that, without the handle, that you would drink an Altbier. It's just a small, straight glass. Now, normally, I haven't seen these, or this Schumacher Alt in 330ml bottles before. I've only seen it in 500. Pictures of it, never had it before. But there you go. Right, there's something in the glass. The glass is a little bit dirty. There you go. It's a copper colour, amber. Well, yeah, it's more of an amber colour than copper, I'd say. But on the nose, it just smells English. It really does. And I've always said this about Altbier. It does remind me of a good English ale. And in a blindfold test, I would say this is an English beer. But there is nice fruity aromas coming from this. Getting a hint of orange. And there is a malt, there's an underlying malt, a caramel malt in this too. And that's coming through as well. Nice, it does smell quite promising. So let's get the rest of it in there and get it down my fat Gregory Peck. Now I looked on the website, and they use the term Auf Ihr Wohl, which supposedly means cheers in German as well. So Auf Ihr Wohl, as they say in Germany, or as they say in Dusseldorf, I should say. Oh, it's lovely. Oh, that's really good. That's really, really nice. And again, I'm going to say how similar this is to an English style beer. Now, when I say it's top fermented, the temperatures that they use are slightly cooler, even though it is still top fermented. They are slightly cooler than the temperatures that English brewers use. But you wouldn't really notice that, and it's very, very similar to an English style ale. Oh, that is so good. That is really, really nice. It's very well rounded, well balanced. There's a little hint of spice on the finish, which I'm getting. There is malt, there's a caramel malt running through that as well. Again, not big, just rounded. And in between that, you're getting little elements of fruit, like citrusy type fruit. Again, not big, so it's quite balanced, if you can imagine this. But the flavours are quite big, but no flavour stands out. As I say, it's quite well rounded. Supremely drinkable as well. It's lovely. It is lovely. It is everything I would want in a beer. Nice long finish on it as well. Caramel malt with a slight bit of spice on there. Oh, that's really good. That is really good. Now, if you're into your English ales, then I know I'm going to labour this point. I'm going to mention it again and again. But if you like your English ales, and you say you like your English ales, then I guarantee you're going to like this one. This is superb. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's probably the best ale I've tried. Maybe I should do a head-to-head with the Uriga Altbier, because that was pretty good. And the Bolton Altbier as well. Actually, the Bolton is the one I should be doing the head-to-head with, not the Uriga. The Uriga is good, don't get me wrong. I think the Doppelstick that they do, the strong Altbier, was their best, but I think there should be a head-to-head with this and the Bolton Altbier. It's lovely. It's quite clean drinking. There's no massive flavours in this. It's all very well balanced, very well rounded, but you do get a broad spectrum of flavours. You get the caramel malt, you get some slight floral notes in there, definitely some spice on the finish, and there are tiny elements of fruit in there as well, like citrus fruit, but it's really good, really well rounded, and I'm really holding back here because I just want to cane this, and it's such a shame that that is only a 330ml bottle, because that is one of the best alts I've tried. So, what is the verdict on Schumacher Altbier? Well, for me, that is fantastic. They are the originators of the Altbier style. Well, they were the first ones to call it Alt, and that shows, because this is a fantastic beer. I really need to do a head-to-head now with the Bolton Altbier, if I can get hold of it. I have seen it on Beers of Europe did it, and also I think I may have seen it on the House of Trembling Madness. But for me, they're the two best alt beers, closely followed by the Origo. But I think at some point I should do a head-to-head with the Schumacher and the Bolton, because they're great, and it's a lovely style of beer. It really is good. You would not believe you are drinking a German style beer, because it's very, very English in its profile, in the character that it's got. And yeah, I am bowled over by this one. This is fantastic. I'm going to have to give that a 10 out of 10, because if it's to be one of the best of its style, I think it warrants a 10 out of 10. Now, as I say, I should do a head-to-head and find out who the winner is, but this is definitely a contender. That's fantastic. I'm not sure how easy it is to get over here in the UK. If anyone's going to do it, it's Beers of Europe. Well worth checking out. If you see it on there, just get it. If it's the 500ml bottle, then even better, because I really feel that I need more of that, because that's fantastic. That is a 10 out of 10 all day long, and I highly recommend it. And watch this space for a head-to-head with the Bolton Altbier, because I need to find out which one's the best. So there you go. And remember, beer is working class champagne.